Hey, Jeff here. So, I just sat through an experience that just blows my mind, and so I wanted to do a quick review. I just got in the new Neal Morse Jesus Christ the Exorcist live at Morsefest DVD. I got the DVD CD combo. There was a Blu-ray. I kind of wish I'd have got that now, but I don't have all that major system. But anyway, live at Morsefest 2018. Now, everybody knows if you watch my channel for any length of time that I'm a huge Neal Morse fan. I think I mentioned him in my previous video. He's in Flying Colors. He's in Transatlantic. He puts out solo equipped stuff. He puts out band stuff. And to me, almost everything he touches is gold. It just seems like I just fall in love with it. The stuff that he does, the musicianship that he works with, it's always mind-blowing. As a musician myself, I appreciate the musicianship. He is in the prog rock, very much influenced by early Genesis and Yes and Rush and all those bands. So he's got a lot of those influences. So it's one of those bands that's a musician's musician. It's musicians really tend to appreciate the real technical stuff. But overall, I mean, he's not so technical that you can't enjoy him. He has tons of fans. But, so, if you're not familiar with Morsefest, Neal Morse, Morsefest, he puts on these concerts in his hometown every year. He's been doing it, I think, since 2014. And so it is a weekend of bands related to his stuff. He used to be in Spock's Beard, and in one year they had Spock's Beard reunion show, and in other years they've had lots of things that Neal has done. Lots of his band playing entire albums one night, and the next night playing another album, and they released most of them over the years. They've released them all on DVD and concert. So this is the latest in that 2018's Jesus Christ the Exorcist. Now, what is Jesus Christ the Exorcist? If you go back and watch the interview videos for when this came out, it's basically touted by him as being an updated version of Jesus Christ Superstar. Now, most people are familiar with this album from the 70s. Ian Gillan on vocals. It's a 70s, psychedelic rock type story about Jesus and his disciples. And this has been like the long-standing version of that play, musical, rock opera, whatever you want to call it. So, if you really dug this, if you're not a religious person, but you really dug this, you're really going to dig Neal Morse. If you're a religious person, a Christian, maybe you didn't like this because you thought sometimes it might be a little loose with the words, loose with the story, then you should really check out. But you like, the fact of having a rock opera, then you really should check out what Neal Morse has done. Now, what makes this mind-blowing to me, multiple things. First off, all-star cast. And the musicianship is top-notch. Now, if you're familiar with Neal Morse's music, his musicians on his albums are top-notch. Mike Portnoy, drummer from Dream Theater, and so many other bands since then, is his longtime drummer. And so you have that. And the other people that surround him, the keyboards, the bass, the guitar players, even though he's had some member changes over the years, they are all stellar, top-notch players. It's no different here. Now, what really, I'm a drummer, what kind of irks me, and I've said this before, because, okay, if you watch Neal Morse's recent couple albums, Eric Gillette, Guitar God, I hate to use that term God, but anyway, lower G. People say he is like John Petrucci. He is just phenomenal, mind-blowingly great, progressive, technical guitar player. Well, on this concert and the album that I'll show in a minute, he's the drummer. And it stinks because he's as amazing on drums as he is on guitar. And that, I hate multi-talented people like that. Come on. So, anyway, yeah, it is. He just is phenomenal on drums. Well, then they bring in Paul. I won't even try to say his last name. He's got a foreign last name on guitar. Now, I first recall seeing this Paul. Paul has played with with Carl Palmer, from the Emerson, Lake and Palmer and bands like that, and he has played for Neal Morse before. Back in 2008. the Solo Scriptura tour. This DVD was released. And what the storyline is behind this is Neal was invited to come overseas to play a concert. But in 2008, and you know, back in those days, it would have been hard for Neal to take an entire touring entourage, band, equipment over there. He was contacted and put on and said, "Look, I'll put together a band. You just come over here and sing with us, and we'll learn your material." And so a band was formed that Neal went over and performed with a couple times. And I remember seeing this. This came out in 2008. And just, I was showing my friends, you've got to see this. These guys are mind-blowing. Just the technical prowess of these musicians. Even the drummer, Colin, just blew me away. He was like Mike Portnoy Jr. or as good. He was lick for lick playing these songs. And Paul, the guitar player on this 12 years ago, just, I remember saying, my goodness. And Neal has had some amazing guitar players. Now, Paul, you know, I guess did some touring like this, but I don't recall of him ever being on an actual album. So, seeing Paul come back into this, and his facial expressions, the fun he had, the playing was just, anyway. The thing that's also cool about this concert is it was recorded in 2018. The album, the play, the rock opera, was still kind of fresh. So, if you're a fan, I've been a fan of Neal Morse since the early 2000s. And when he left Spock's Beard and went solo, he started the Inner Circle Club for fans, and that's sort of like what you would consider Patreon today, except for back then it was, hey, you donate monthly, and we're going to send you music on CD and things every other month. DVDs, bootleg stuff, concerts, songs he's working on. In 2008, is that what this is? 2008, 2009? Neal Morse, this is the Jesus Christ the Exorcist, and this is his idea. I've been writing this rock opera idea. And so he released it. It's a lot of rough tracks. It's a lot of ideas. It's some just home recording type stuff. Cool stuff. So it's been back that far that this has been in the making. So then finally in the 20-teens, he's like, let's put it together. And he kind of works on a little more. And then he does, 2018, he releases some more demos to the Inner Circle Club. He's pulling it together. He's getting people in line. In 2018, he does Morsefest. So it's not like they're playing, hey, we have an album, let's go and perform it. This is, hey, I have a rock opera, let's have a couple days to practice it. You all learn your parts at home over the, when we send you the information, and then we're going to come together and practice it just for a short amount of time. I think he said in the video they had like 3 days to pull it all together. Everything, the stage show and everything. And then put on this show. Then, in 2019, they release an album. They bring most of those people back in and perform it, a studio album, which is stellar. It's just a stellar representation of it. So we've had this since 2019. I didn't go to Morsefest. I didn't experience that. I heard good things about it. 2019, the album comes out. I'm familiar with this. I've been listening to this, for a year and a half now. Love, love, love the album. But now to go back and say, hey, we can experience what it was live for those people who saw it back then, it just puts a whole new spin on things. Because, yeah, you hear all the different voices, the list of actors of the different positions, the list of people that are playing with him, but you don't always, for me, I'm like, not always putting faces to voices as well as when you see it, in person, in a physical format. So I'm seeing this, and it's an all-star cast of musicians that, I know a lot of them. So let me just rattle off some of them. So just some of the key ones that I think some of you might recognize. I don't know if you know Kerry Livgren. Kerry Livgren, longtime guitarist for Kansas, done a lot of solo stuff. Great guitarist. Anyway, his son Jake plays in this and sings, plays one of the parts. Neal Morse, of course, plays multiple parts, and his son Will plays some parts. You've got, in this case, and you can see that on the cover, you got John Schlitt of Petra fame. Now, he's on here in the concert as Caiaphas, but he doesn't appear on the actual album. Jake takes over for Caiaphas's part. I'm assuming he wasn't available. You've got Nick DiVigilio from Spock's Beard fame. He was a drummer in Spock's Beard when Neal was there. When Neal left, he took over on vocals, was a longtime vocalist for that. Now he's doing solo work. He blows my mind. He's a great vocalist. He's an amazing drummer and a great vocalist, and he just nails it out of the park on this. He's just phenomenal. You've got Ted Leonard. Ted Leonard plays Jesus, and Ted Leonard, he was in Spock's Beard, sings for Spock's Beard, sings for bands along that line. Phenomenal, does a just phenomenal part. You have Matt Smith from Theocracy. He plays a small part in this. And you also have Rick Florian. If you're familiar with the Christian band Whiteheart, they were real popular in the late 80s and into the 90s. One of my favorite bands. Rick Florian was the singer for the end of their time frame. And it's great to see him come back. I would have to say he stole the show for me in many ways. He plays the devil, Satan. And his moves and his little dances, it's kind of quirky and fun, but it's great to see him back in action. I still love Whiteheart, and to see him pop back up and his position, he's only in a couple key spots, but playing the devil, and he just does a great job bringing it to life. And again, such short amount of practice, but it just overall, the whole show. Now I haven't watched the behind the scenes. That's the only thing that I wanted to just do this video while I had a chance, because I was so blown away by the actual presentation. Now my DVD, because I bought the set, and have one of the early orders, pre-orders or whatever, got an autograph photo. Kind of, that's one from probably 10, 15 years ago. So, occasionally Neal will throw in. I've got all kinds of things that have come in, autographed photos and flying colors and stuff like that. I need to frame some of those, but some of them are up like this. It's just, if you're a Christian or a religious person, you should love this. But if you're not, and it's just a rock opera, a rock drama of the life of Jesus and those around him. It's not preachy. It's just presenting the story as in the Bible of Jesus and his disciples and all through the crucifixion and all of that. So I would just say, give it a chance. It is prog. It's got intense moments. It's got mellow moments. It's got just amazing performances on YouTube. There's already a couple clips that Neal has put out there. Go check it out. Type in Jesus Christ the Exorcist. Type in the live. You can watch some live ones. If you just type that in, you'll get some from the album. There's some in the studio performances of some of the songs, and it's just a great album. And like I say, he has put together just an intensely talented band as usual. But yes, so it's a 2-disc set. There's 2 acts, 26 songs total when you include the end credits and all that. And it takes you through, it's got through basically his appearance, the people waiting for a Messiah, his appearance, his baptism with John the Baptist, which is where Matt Smith comes in from Theocracy, so he plays a small part there, his temptation in the wilderness, his meeting, that's the other thing. So Talon David, I hear on the album, and she does this, the Woman of Seven Devils, Mary Magdalene. And you hear it, and it's very sultry. She starts off very sultry, very, she's just like, I am a woman of the night. I get high all the time. I'm just a party animal, but I kind of want to change. And she pulls that off, and you listen, and I've seen her on the videos, and you kind of see her from here up, and you're like, hey, she's just got this awesome voice, very just sultry and soulful. Well, then I watched the video, and I'm like, holy moly, she's like a teenager. I mean, I don't know. She's probably in her 20s. I was just, I expected a much older person doing these vocals. She kind of stole the show for me, too. She comes out dressed in red, singing this song that I'm familiar with on the album, but never saw. I guess if I'd have seen this first, it would have made a difference. I'm seeing it second. It brought it all to life. She blew me away. She just has this amazing vocals, and she appears throughout it as Mary Magdalene, of course. So, again, overall, it's just, the show just brought it to so much life, and it made it so much of a stronger situation. You've got the madman of the Gadareans, so you got this man who's legion. You hear that in heavy metal, legion, many demons or whatever, and that is so cool because you've got 4 or 5 guys that come out and do all these voices, and they're all singing at the same time in different harmonies, and That's always been a favorite song of mine, and so it was just great to see that performed live. The and you know, and then it's just it goes from there, and it talks about their actions and how they don't want to see Jesus die, and then he goes to the cross, and he goes before Caiaphas, and they got the Last Supper, and you got Judas, and Judas kills himself, and he gets crucified, and all of that. It's just that general story from his appearance to his crucifixion in a 20 some odd song production. So I would just encourage you, Christian or not, religious or not, if you like good music, if you like good musicianship, if you like melody, harmony, I mean, he's got string section, he's got a full choir, he's got horns, he has the works here. Multiple people on stage. It is a major musical production. It is just amazing. Now, if you go online and you look up the story, he's got like a 3-part interview where he talks about the purpose behind this. It also got picked up by he didn't just put this album out on his own label. It got picked up. It went on Frontiers Records out of Italy, and so it's gotten some major distribution. So anyway, I don't want to ramble anymore. I love Neal Morse. I love this. You need to check this out. It's just a great show, and it's greater to see it. It was great to hear the album. I've loved the album for over a year that it's been out, but I am now more in love with the album because I've seen it in action, and it has taken my breath away at times at the talent that goes into putting on a show like this after such a small amount of time that they were able to practice. And I'm just encouraging you to at least go online and check out some of the video clips. It may not be your cup of tea, but if you're into good music, into musicianship, into people oozing with talent, just unlimited it seems like, check it out. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I will be back. Rock on.